Hello there, gorgeous, magical creators. I'm Christine Collins, and I hope you're having a lovely day. Just wanted to hop on today to share with you a little bit of a reflection regarding some things that I think are really relevant to creators and also relevant for you if you are someone who has experienced what is often termed as anxiety or sometimes called mood disorders or even stress or extreme stress. As you may or may not know, I have a background in psychology. I have a master's degree in psychology and also many, many years of clinical experience, both as a therapist and as an addiction counselor. And, of course, I now do hypnotherapy and kind of tie everything together, all of my previous experience and work and all of the knowledge that I've gained through all of the research, in studying psychology. And one of the things that I think is really interesting that comes up often is people ask about this connection between so-called mood disorders and prodigy. And I've actually read several research articles where, there are tons and tons of researchers out there who have made an effort to kind of pin this down, where they've done years of work and study examining prodigies, people who are highly elevated in their field of expertise, people who have become well known for something, artists and engineers and creators of all kinds, and attempting to find, is there this link between prodigy and, being highly creative and highly innovative and mood disorders? And, while there are varying outcomes to the studies, there does seem to be some type of connection. And one of the things that I believe about this is that, number one, in the mental health world, it is very heavily label oriented. And, naturally, it's understandable that we need to have a way to have a dialogue about phenomena, that people are experiencing. So there was a need to create, like the diagnostical and statistical manual and have these terms to be able to define and describe experiences and to catalog them. But I do think that there can be a danger to labeling, and particularly assigning labels to someone who is vulnerable. And this is particularly true with like teenagers and young people, but it's absolutely just as true for adults. Feeling that you're defined by this term. And really, I think, I have always followed a much more wellness-based model and a focus on strength. That doesn't mean that we don't talk about the challenges and the different things that are happening and the problems that need to be solved. You can't ignore them necessarily, but you also don't need to focus on them in order to find solutions for them. And I do think that being more solution-focused is critical. And one of the things that we know about the connection between anxiety and creativity is that they are the antithesis of each other. So just to kind of put this in a very watered down version of the science, creativity can be defined by dopamine and serotonin. Those are the two feel-good hormones, and they are required to be creative. And when it comes to anxiety and stress, usually they're associated with cortisol and norepinephrine, and there's a host of different things, but the cortisol in particular defeats the dopamine and the serotonin. And so what I think is really interesting is that in some regards you could say that when you're highly anxious, it's difficult to be creative. But you can also flip that around and say, if you are focusing on being creative, you're not going to be as anxious. And it can absolutely be a tremendous stress reducer. And I think, just my own personal opinion, no specific research or science or studies behind this, just observation over many, many years of working with clients, reflecting on things, reading research, all of that kind of put together. I think that people who do reach that level of prodigy and who are highly gifted as a creator, whether they are an artist, a writer, an engineer, or a practitioner of some kind using their creative gifts, I think that anxiety, as we term it, is also fuel. It's momentum. It's energy. And we do get to make a choice about how we use the energy that we have and the momentum that we have within us. And when we can fuel that energy into a positive pursuit, whatever that may be, wherever our skills and our gifts lead us, it can be extremely powerful. And it's not surprising that those folks can go to this high level of prodigy and creation that someone who is just, doesn't have that level of fuel and momentum may not reach. So I just wanted to share this insight with you because I think it's very important. And I think that it's helpful, particularly if you are somebody who may at some point in your life or right now have struggled with some of these things, to know that there is a way, and there can be a way, to use that fuel towards your creation, towards a positive outcome. You don't have to be stuck in a label. And there can absolutely be a good story for you to exist within. Once again, I'm Christine Collins, and I hope that you have an absolutely magical and creative rest of your day.